I'm so excited for yet another bonus episode of the Life at Full Blast podcast, where we bring on guests who occasionally show up on the show. And I'm really excited about today's guest, Daphne Wells, all the way from New Zealand. Welcome, Daphne.
Thank you, Cindy. Pleasure to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on the show and just really dive into some of the work that you're doing in the world, what you're sharing with the world. I think your work is fascinating, so I'm really excited. But let us know, tell our audience, who is Daphne?
Daphne is the lady who comes from New Zealand, way down deep in the South Island, pretty much at the bottom. Lives in the middle of nowhere, really, in amongst beautiful native forests and beach, and has recently purchased an old country store, which I'm restoring into being a beautiful home and creating an edible garden around it so I can be self-sufficient.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I mean, you picked up and moved to the middle of nowhere on your own, where there's like no town nearby, no major center nearby, and purchased this house. Well, it's not even a house, it's a country store that needs to be renovated. That must have been really scary to do.
Um, in a lot of ways it was, and in a lot of ways it wasn't, Cindy. So I had been wanting to move for several years, and there were lots of legal encumbrances in there from an ex-abusive relationship. And so I was really leaning into universe, spirit, however you want to term that, with this needs to be rectified. I knew I needed physically and energetically to move from where I had been living with this abusive person. And I leaned into trust. Like, I have never trusted as much. And I kept refining what I wanted in a new property. And then once I was able to put mine on the market, started physically driving to different locations and looking at properties, and found lots that were, I could live there, and nothing happened with the sale, with the purchase of it. And this one literally came on the market 2 weeks before I had to move. So I had a date to move. I had no idea where I was moving. I was just like, come on, universe, you said that this would all happen. You gave me when I sold my house, the purchaser wanted to be in there weeks earlier than what they did, and I was given the date I was moving.
Wow.
And so I was like, this is the date that you can have my house, not before. And it all lined up. I didn't even know this place existed. I'd never been here. I didn't know anyone. I literally came here knowing no one.
And a lot of my audience is probably like, okay, so how did you trust? Because trust does not come easily.
No. And here's the thing, trust for me has been a massive part of my growth journey, because when I was finally able to evict this abusive person from my house, which, I mean, we could talk for hours about that. It's a massive story, and we're not here to do that today. I remember saying to my coach at the time, I can't trust anyone. I don't trust anyone. How am I going to trust anyone? And then it really took me down a rabbit hole. Well, what is trust? How do I build trust? And what I really learned was it was about trusting me.
Mm-hmm.
I can only trust others as much as I trust me. So how could I trust myself given these really, really bad decisions I'd made in the past?
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned to do that. And what I've learned is that trust and confidence dance together.
Yeah.
They're like partners in crime, if you will, in growth. I picture them as a stack of stones, easily tossed over and destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Yet when you build them, when you put a stone of trust on there, which for me, we gather trust in ourselves when we gather evidence of when we've kept promises to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I've said I'm going to do this thing today. Have I done it? That's another stone in my stone stack. And then alongside of that, there's the stack that is confidence. So each time, what I've learned is each time we trust ourselves a little bit more, we feel a little bit more confident.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as we can trust ourselves more, we can then choose and be discerning about who we trust in the future.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah, I've always said that trust and confidence go hand in hand as well, right? Because you can't be confident unless you take action. But unless you take action, how can you trust yourself? They just kind of all mix together. So yeah, I
Yeah,
love
they do. Yeah,
that.
yeah. And I love the picture of the stone stack came to me years ago when I was on this journey. And I love that because if you think about it, a stone stack is so easily pushed over.
Yes. Yes, it is.
And
Absolutely.
it's easier to destroy confidence. It's quicker to destroy confidence than it is to build it and
Yes.
trust.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely takes a lot longer to build that stack, but it is so worth it. So worth it. I love it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it was just a mix of all of that. It's been an incredible journey, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So share with our audience a little bit about your work. Who do you serve and what result do you help people get?
So I serve women leaders in business. And I have decades of experience in different areas of business. And I used to beat myself up because I didn't have a career or an industry that I worked in.
Mhm.
I was exploring who I was and what I was meant to do, and now it all comes to the party. So, really help women be the leaders of their own life because we as women have not been encouraged to do that. We've been put into a box as a in the female role in our world, right, of service and over sacrificing ourselves for others, which is what I did for many years. So, really, how I help people is really step into their freedom to lead themselves and their businesses their way.
Mm.
Because we as women lead differently to men.
Mm.
We run businesses and lives differently to men. And for far too long, in my opinion, we've been expected, told to do it their way.
Right. Yes. And what better person to help teach others to lead themselves than someone who has learned to build their own mountain of trust and confidence?
Mm.
I love it. I love it. I'm really hoping that my cat isn't going to break down my door. If we hear him banging on the door, he's just going to be part of the show. It's fine. So tell me what it was. You came to work with me. I don't even remember how long. I think it's been almost a year ago now that you came to work with me. And I'm curious, what was it about our conversation that made you choose to work with me in particular?
Yeah, it was around 6 months ago because it was after I'd moved and kind of hunkered in and settled. I have been attempting to for many years tie all my work together into one offering, so that I'm not offering numerology readings here and coaching here and you know mental fitness over here, and I'm not offering lots of things. How I could tie it all together, and it was intriguing to me that I helped many of my clients do that with their different modalities, and yet that old seeing the wood for the trees, I couldn't do it for myself.
Mhm.
Um, and I I had been following you for quite some time. We've been connected. And when we had that conversation about, how you tied it all together, it just really felt aligned and felt right for me. Like, this is it. This is when I get to do it. And I knew the timing was right. So messages, that we channel, I knew that once I'd moved, my whole life and business were going to change completely.
Mhm.
And I was trusting and obviously actively looking myself for the right coach to pop into my world.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
you did.
Ta-da! Here I am.
Exactly, for which I'm very grateful.
I loved it. And oh my gosh, I've loved working with you. And it was such a blessing to watch you pull that work together because multiple modalities. I mean, I remember looking at your website and going, you've got all this stuff, like all this magic that's available, but it's all in little pockets all by itself. So to see that all come together has been absolutely a joy to witness.
Thank you. And it's been a joy to be part of for me and to watch it happening too. And I think one of the really big keys for me in choosing you to work with was that, you're a numerologist like me. So you were coming at it from the same perspective as me.
Yeah.
understanding my energy and bringing that into the playground where we create our business, right? Where a lot of other coaches I'd worked with in the past were more strategy and tactics than bringing the energy in.
Yeah.
And when the ones who I've worked with who did bring energy and intuition in, I felt it wasn't as finely tuned to who I am as you were able to do through numerology.
I love that. I love that. 80% energy, 20% strategy. That's my rule.
Exactly. It's so important, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, absolutely. So you had mentioned, you had led other women to create their signature offer and pull all their work together. Had you tried working with coaches in the past to bring your work together, or was this the first try?
This was the first time I'd actually proactively tried to do that for myself. Yeah.
Love it. I love it. So
For the
obviously,
coach, as I said, I tried to do it for myself.
right. And I think that's the beauty of having a coach, right? Is I'm of the firm belief that every coach needs a coach, because we can't see what did you say, the forest for the trees? We can't
Yeah.
see our own stuff. And so we can't pull it all together without the support of somebody else.
No, we can't. And coaches need coaches, leaders need coaches.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, I really believe everybody needs a coach.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Really important for leaders and coaches to have coaches.
Yeah, imagine what a beautiful world it would be if every person had a coach. I'd love it.
Well, I often say that coaching for me was the catalyst that moved me forward and has been a huge part of my healing journey, where years of therapy didn't do
Yeah,
that for me.
yeah, exactly. I've done years of therapy as well. After my dad passed away when I was 16, I had to do all the therapy. I had to, because this is what all they knew back then, right? The coaching industry had not taken off at that point, and it did nothing for me. In fact, it might have made it worse until I found my first coach, and that's when everything shifted for me. So same thing. Yeah.
And for me, after abusive relationships, coaching was, I mean, therapy was part of the process.
Hmm.
And I just felt like I was swirling in this deep, dark hole that I'd already clawed myself out of. And yet I didn't know how to move forward. I didn't know how to avoid slipping back in there. And when I met up with a life coach, she literally changed my life.
Yeah.
And I didn't know coaching existed until then, you know, apart from for sports people and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, life coach, business coach, sports coach, health coach. That's all different types, but they're all so important. So
Exactly.
tell me a little bit. I mean, we already talked about you pulled your life's work together. That's a huge deal to be able to pull all that together. What was the greatest takeaway from working with me in my program?
Making it really simple, like your process of working it and pulling it all together was really simple and really clear. And I loved the emphasis on the divine timing rhythm in there. It made it all make sense.
Mm, divine timing for the win, always.
Because life is all about patterns and rhythms and so to bring that in was a magical element for me.
I love that. I love that. Yes, anybody who works with me quickly understands the 6 stages of transformation and the divine timing cycle, because it goes through everything. What do I always say? Pour that shit on everything.
So hey, it just goes through absolutely everything.
Absolutely. So, what are you currently working on in your business, and what are you most excited about?
Well, this program that I've created in my work with you, Freedom to Lead, really helps women leaders bring all of their stuff, step into their own leadership potential, rewrite the rules of leadership for them and their businesses, and really maximize their productivity, their well-being, and their relationship all at the same time. because life is so connected, and often leaders and business owners have been to a workshop on this and a workshop on that, done a course on this or that. And what I've found in the past for them, and historically, this is what happened for me as well, you fine tune and work on that area at the expense of all the others.
Yeah.
And then you lose focus of that because you need to get back to this. And really, you can pour this time and energy into something, and a few weeks or months later, nothing's changed.
Yeah.
And this is the magic of how I help people, as it pulls it all together in a way that's sustainable.
Yeah. I love that. No wonder you're excited about it.
Yeah.
So good. So good. So what's next for Daphne and your business? Where are you moving to next, in energetically or physically? She's
Well, I'm
not
not,
moving physically, people. She is not moving physically. She's got a
no,
rest
no,
of projects.
my house is too much. My house and my land are too much in the developmental stages to be able to even
Yeah,
think about moving. Plus, it's amazing living here. Why would I want to?
exactly.
In my business, I'm really looking to help lots of women and to help teams to bring them on board as well, so that it's not, so that everybody benefits. What I want to see is women. My big dream is for women all over the world to embrace this work, so they really step into their potential and possibilities. Because when women do that, we don't keep it to ourselves.
Exactly.
It ripples out to everyone around us, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I believe that we are all here with magical gifts to share with the world, whether that be whether you're an accountant, whether you're a coach, whether you're a whatever you are, whether you're a massage therapist or whatever. We each have a magical gift. And for too long, we haven't thought those were valuable because they come easy to us.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so I'm really excited about just wanting to help more people and do more good in the world.
Yeah. I love that so much. Thank you for doing this work in the world.
It's
So
my pleasure.
tell us how my audience can find you, and you've got a free gift to offer. Let us know
I
how we
do.
can find things.
Okay, so my website is daphnewells.com. And so the free gift I have for you all today is you can find it giftfromdaphne.com. And it is about really becoming the CEO, the leader of your own time, being in control of it.
Mm.
As women, everything wants our attention, and we want to nurture and love those around us. And so we give our time away and don't do what's important. So this is really a simple way that you can, simple and yet not necessarily easy. You do it and then it all kind of clicks into this is the how to do it.
I love that. I love that. And so important, even as somebody who's managing time through the divine timing cycle, I still notice sometimes I'm like, man, I did too much today and I feel drained. I did not manage that calendar very well. So I think that's so important. And we're always constantly giving and giving and giving. So yeah, let's give to ourselves too through managing the time.
Exactly. Let's figure out what our priorities are,
Yeah.
get them aligned, and find a way to make that work. Most days, none of us are perfect. It doesn't happen every day.
Cool.
If it happens more days than not, you're winning.
Right?
Because so many of us of women have suffered from burnout or adrenal fatigue, over and over and over again until we choose differently and do differently.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for that gift. I will make sure that everything is in the show notes so that people can find all your links and that beautiful gift for us. And thank you for being on the show. And as a numerologist, I've got to say, at the time of this recording, it is currently 3:33. So let's amplify that.
Our message getting out in the world. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute joy, as always, to talk with you.
Oh, such a pleasure. But we've got to end the show with one last question because the audience needs to know, what does it mean to live life at full blast for Daphne?
To lead yourself your way, to know that your decisions are aligned for you, for your energy, and who you're here to be following your own path through life, not anyone else's.
Yeah.
And when we do that, when we are so certain of who we are, why we're here, and we know our own path, obviously it's not a straight path, it bends
No.
and goes all over the place, but then we can put blinkers on and absolutely have no need or care for what those who have criticized us in the past, and probably still are, have to say, because they can't impact you when you're on that journey.
I love that. So
That's when you're living life at full blast, when you have that really profound and deep freedom to lead your life your way.
Yeah, because then there's no limitations. There's nobody telling you you can't do something. And so how can you not live life at full blast?
Exactly. And when people tell you can't do something, watch me.
Hold my glass of wine.
Yes, you've just revved up the engine to high speed.
I love it. Thank you so much, Daphne, for being on the show today. Thank you for the work you're doing in the world. And thank you to the audience for checking this episode out.
Loved it. Thanks, Cindy.